I saw my wife pack my bags to teach a lesson. I refused to beg, stayed gone, demanded counseling, and made her move out before we rebuilt our marriage. What I found instead were 2 packed suitcases sitting right there in the entrance hallway, like some kind of silent announcement. My wife stood behind them, arms crossed, wearing that expression I'd seen building up for weeks, the one that said she'd been rehearsing this moment in her head. "I'm done with you," she said, her voice sharp and final. "Those are your things. You can go." I looked at the suitcases, then back at her. No surprise, no shock, just curiosity about what had triggered this particular performance. "Mind telling me what brought this on?" She launched into her prepared speech, how I didn't appreciate her anymore, how I took her for granted, how I never showed her enough attention or made her feel special. The complaints came out like she'd been saving them up, each one delivered with increasing intensity. "You come home, you eat dinner, you watch TV. You never plan dates anymore. You never surprise me with flowers. You don't even notice when I get my hair done," she continued, pacing now. "I feel invisible in my own marriage." I listened to the whole thing without interrupting. When she finished, I waited a moment before responding. "So instead of talking to me about any of this, you packed my bags and decided to kick me out?" "I shouldn't have to ask you to be a good husband," she shot back. "If you really loved me, you'd just know what to do." There it was, the expectation that I should read her mind, anticipate her every need, and perform like some trained SEAL to prove my worth. I'd seen this script before in other relationships, watched friends jump through hoops trying to satisfy the impossible. "You know what?" I said, reaching for the suitcases. "You're right. You shouldn't have to ask." Her confidence flickered for just a second. This wasn't the reaction she'd expected. She'd probably imagined me begging, promising to change, maybe even getting down on my knees to prove how much I needed her. "What are you doing?" she asked as I lifted both bags. "Exactly what you asked me to do. I'm leaving." I headed toward the door, then paused. "You said you're done with me. Message received." "Wait, that's not... I didn't mean..." She stammered. But I was already opening the door. "You packed my bags and told me to go. I'm going." I stepped outside, then turned back to face her. "You want to know why I stopped planning surprises? Because every time I did something nice, you found something wrong with it. The restaurant wasn't romantic enough. The flowers weren't the right color. The movie wasn't what you wanted to see." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. "You want to know why I stopped complimenting your hair? Because you'd spend 20 minutes explaining why the compliment wasn't specific enough or why I should have noticed it sooner." I adjusted my grip on the suitcases. "You turned every gesture into a test I was destined to fail. But I just wanted to feel loved," she said, her voice smaller now. "No, you wanted to feel in control. There's a difference." I walked toward my car. "You got what you wanted. Now you can feel as loved as you want all by yourself." I loaded the bags into the trunk while she stood in the doorway watching. This wasn't how her little drama was supposed to play out. She'd expected me to fight for her, to grovel, to promise I'd be better. Instead, I was calmly accepting her decision and walking away. "You're really just going to leave?" she called out as I got into the driver's seat. "You packed my bags and told me you were done. What part of that was supposed to make me stay?" I started the engine. "Enjoy your space." As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. She was still standing there, probably waiting for me to come back once I realized I couldn't live without her. But I kept driving. For the first time in months, I actually felt relieved. 20 minutes later, I was at my brother's house explaining the situation. He just shook his head and helped me carry the bags inside. "She actually thought you'd beg her to take you back?" he asked. "That was the plan, I think." I set the bags down in his guest room. "Problem is, I'm not the begging type." My phone buzzed a text from her. "Are you coming back home tonight?" I turned the phone face down on the nightstand. Some questions don't deserve an answer. The next morning, my phone showed 7 missed calls and 12 text messages, all from her. I scrolled through them over coffee, watching the progression from confident to confused to slightly panicked. "I hope you're thinking about what I said. We need to talk about this properly. You can't just ignore me forever. This is childish. Come home so we can work this out. Are you seriously going to let our marriage end over your pride?" I deleted them all without responding. My brother watched me from across the kitchen table, coffee mug in hand. "She's ramping up already," he observed. "Day 1, and she's already breaking," I replied. This was never about wanting me gone, it was about controlling me. The phone rang again, her name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, then played it back on speaker. Look, I know you're upset, but this has gone far enough. I made my point. You can come home now and we can talk about how to fix things. I'm willing to work on this if you are. I almost laughed. She'd made her point like this was all just a lesson she was teaching me. She thinks she's being generous, my brother said, offering to work on it. She kicked me out yesterday. Now she's graciously allowing me to come back and discuss my failures as a husband. I poured another cup of coffee. Hard pass. The calls continued throughout the day. By evening, the messages were getting more desperate. I don't understand why you're being so stubborn about this. Fine. Maybe I overreacted a little, but you overreacted too. People are starting to ask where you are. That last one caught my attention. She was embarrassed. Her little power play had backfired, and now she had to explain to friends and family why her husband wasn't coming home. Around 9 o'clock that night, the doorbell rang at my brother's house. I looked out the window and saw her car in the driveway. Don't answer it, I told him. She knocked, then rang the bell again. I know you're in there. Your car is in the driveway. My brother looked at me. Your call. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. What do you want? To talk. Like adults. She looked past me, probably expecting to be asked inside. Can we have some privacy? We can talk right here. Her jaw tightened. She wasn't used to being kept on the doorstep. This is ridiculous. I'm your wife. You're the woman who packed my bags and told me to leave. We can talk here or you can leave. She glanced around, probably worried the neighbors might hear. Fine. I think we both said some things we didn't mean yesterday. I meant every word I said. Come on, you know I didn't really want you to leave. I was just frustrated. So you packed my bags and told me you were done with me because you were frustrated. I leaned against the doorframe. That's an interesting way to handle frustration. I wanted you to fight for me, she burst out. I wanted you to show me that I mattered enough for you to fight for our marriage by kicking you out, by making you realize what you'd lose if you kept taking me for granted. I stared at her for a long moment. You wanted to manipulate me into begging you back. That's not. I just wanted to feel like I was important to you. So you decided to threaten our marriage to get attention. I shook my head. You got attention, all right, just not the kind you wanted. Look, I made a mistake, I admit that. But you're making a bigger mistake by staying away. Am I? Because for the first time in months, I'm not walking on eggshells wondering what's going to set you off next. She flinched. I don't. You don't what? Make me feel like everything I do is wrong? Like I'm constantly failing some test you never told me I was taking? I never said you were failing. You didn't have to say it. You showed me every day. I straightened up. Yesterday you told me you were done with me. Today you're telling me you made a mistake. Which is it? I want my husband back. Your husband didn't go anywhere. You kicked him out. She stood there for a moment, probably realizing her usual tactics weren't working. So what now? You're just going to stay here forever? I'm going to stay here until I figure out what I want to do next. And what about what I want? You wanted me gone. You got it. I stepped back toward the door. Good night. Wait, she called out as I started to close the door. We can't just what? End our marriage? You started that conversation yesterday. I closed the door and walked back to the kitchen. Through the window, I watched her stand there for another few minutes before finally getting in her car and driving away. My brother handed me a beer. How do you feel? Surprisingly good. I took a sip. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm in control of my own life. The phone buzzed again, another text from her. I love you. Please come home. I turned the phone off and finished my beer. Some conversations could wait until tomorrow or next week or never. 3 days into my stay at my brother's place, she escalated her tactics. It started with a phone call from her sister. She's really worried about you, the sister said. She thinks you might be having some kind of breakdown. I'm fine, I replied. Never been better, actually. Look, I know she can be dramatic, but she really loves you. She's just scared of losing you. Funny way of showing it, packing my bags and kicking me out. She made a mistake. Can't you forgive her? I'm not angry with her. I'm just not interested in playing her games anymore. The sister tried for another 10 minutes to convince me to call her back, to work things out, to be the bigger person. I listened politely and then hung up. An hour later, it was her mother's turn. I don't know what happened between you two, but she's devastated, her mother said. She's been crying for days. She packed my bags and told me she was done with me. I respected her decision. But she didn't mean it that way. Then she should have said what she meant, instead of saying what she didn't mean. Marriage is about compromise, about working through problems together. You're right. It is. That's why people talk to each other, instead of packing bags and issuing ultimatums. The mother lasted 15 minutes before giving up. By the end of the week, 3 more of her friends had called, each with the same script. She was sorry. She was hurting. She just needed me to come home so we could fix things. I blocked her number after she started calling my work phone, but that just made her more creative. Friday evening, I was having dinner with my brother when the doorbell rang. This time, it wasn't her, it was our mutual friend Jake, looking uncomfortable. "She asked me to come talk to you," he said when I opened the door. "Of course she did. Come in." Jake sat down heavily in the living room chair. "Man, she's a mess. I've never seen her like this." "Like what?" "Desperate. Crying all the time. She keeps saying she doesn't understand why you won't just come home. She understands perfectly. She just doesn't like the consequences of her actions. Look, I get it." She crossed the line. "But isn't this a little extreme? It's been a week." "Jake, let me ask you something. If your wife packed your bags and told you she was done with you, what would you do?" He thought about it. "I'd probably try to talk to her, find out what was wrong." I tried that for months. Every conversation became a list of my failures. Every attempt to fix things just gave her more ammunition. "So you're just going to throw away your marriage?" "I'm not throwing anything away. She made a decision. I'm living with it." Jake left 20 minutes later, probably to report back that I was being unreasonable. I didn't care. I was tired of everyone expecting me to be the one who bent over backward to fix things. Saturday morning brought a new tactic. She showed up at my brother's house again, this time carrying a grocery bag. "I brought your favorite cookies," she said when I opened the door. "And that coffee you like." "I don't need cookies." "I know, but I thought maybe we could talk over coffee like we used to." "We used to talk over coffee until you turned every conversation into a criticism session. I want to change that." She held up the bag. "Can I come in, please?" I looked at her standing there with her peace offering, probably thinking this was the gesture that would make me melt. "No." Her face crumpled. "I'm trying here. I'm really trying to make this right. You're trying to manipulate me into coming back by pretending nothing happened." "I'm not pretending anything. I know I messed up." "Do you?" "Because an hour ago you had Jake over here telling me I was being extreme. Yesterday your mother called to tell me marriage is about compromise. This morning your sister texted me saying I was breaking your heart. She had the decency to look embarrassed. I needed help. I didn't know how to reach you. You could have tried honesty instead of a full court press from your support network. I'm being honest. I love you. I want you to come home." "You want me to come home on your terms after you've proven your point about being able to control me?" I shook my head. "That's not love. That's ownership. That's not true." "Isn't it? You kicked me out to teach me a lesson. Now you're trying everything, except actually respecting my decision to stay gone." She stood there holding her grocery bag, tears starting to form. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to stop trying to manipulate me into coming back. I want you to respect that you made a choice, and I made a choice in response." "So that's it? We're done?" "You told me you were done. I believed you. But I changed my mind. That's your right. Just like it's my right to decide I like being treated with respect for a change." I closed the door and walked back to the kitchen. Through the window, I watched her sit in her car for 10 minutes before driving away, leaving the grocery bag on the doorstep. My brother came home an hour later and found me throwing the cookies in the trash. "She's getting desperate," he observed. "Good. Maybe now she'll understand what it feels like to not be in control. What if she actually changes? Then she can prove it to someone else." I tied up the trash bag. I'm done being her training dummy. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is her cousin. She's really struggling. Please call her." I blocked the number and went to bed. Some lessons take time to sink in. 2 weeks had passed since I'd left. I was settling into a routine at my brother's place when she decided to make her boldest move yet. I was coming out of a meeting at work when I saw her car in the parking lot. She was leaning against it, waiting. "We need to talk," she said as I approached. "Not here. You won't answer my calls. You won't see me at the house. Where else am I supposed to go?" I looked around the parking lot. A few of my CO workers were heading to their cars, definitely within earshot. "You want to do this here? In front of everyone?" "I want to do this anywhere you'll actually listen to me." "I've been listening. I just haven't been agreeing." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. I know I hurt you. I know I made a terrible mistake, but we can fix this. You didn't hurt me. You showed me who you really are. That's not who I really am. I was angry and frustrated and I acted out. You packed my bags and told me you were done with me. That wasn't acting out. That was a calculated move to force me to beg you back. Maybe it was, but it didn't work, did it? She tried to smile. You're stronger than I thought. Is that supposed to be a compliment? It's supposed to be an acknowledgement that I underestimated you. I watched her try to spin her manipulation attempt into some kind of relationship growth moment. You're doing it again. Doing what? Trying to control the narrative. Making this about me being strong instead of about you being manipulative. Her face flushed. I'm trying to have a conversation with my husband. Your husband is the guy you kicked out 2 weeks ago. I'm just the guy who didn't come crawling back. Stop saying that. Stop making it sound like I'm some kind of monster. I'm not making you sound like anything. I'm just describing what happened. A couple of my CO workers walked past, clearly pretending not to listen. She noticed them too and moved closer. Can we please go somewhere private to talk about this? We tried talking for months. Every conversation ended with you telling me everything I was doing wrong. Because I wanted things to be better between us. No, because you wanted me to be different. There's a difference. Everyone wants their partner to grow and improve. Growth is voluntary. What you wanted was transformation through criticism. She stared at me for a moment, probably realizing this conversation wasn't going the way she'd planned. So what now? We just give up? You gave up when you packed my bags. I was trying to save our marriage by threatening to end it, by making you see how much you had to lose. I saw exactly what I had to lose, a wife who thought so little of me that she'd rather manipulate me than talk to me. That's not. I don't think little of you. You think so little of me that you believed I'd come crawling back after you humiliated me. I never wanted to humiliate you. What did you think would happen? I'd show up at the door with flowers and apologies, begging you to take me back? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. That's exactly what you thought. I shook my head. You thought I was weak enough to accept being treated like that. I thought you loved me enough to fight for us. I loved you enough to respect your decision when you said you were done. But I didn't mean it. Then you shouldn't have said it. Another CO worker walked past, nodding at me. She waited until he was out of earshot before speaking again. Everyone's watching us. You chose the location. I chose it because it's the only place you'd actually see me. I've seen you. We've talked. You want me to come home on your terms, pretending nothing happened. I'm not interested. What terms would you accept? I wouldn't. You broke something that can't be fixed with a conversation. So that's it? 5 years of marriage down the drain? You drained it when you decided to play games instead of being honest. She stood there for a long moment, probably realizing that her public confrontation strategy had backfired. People were definitely watching now, and she wasn't getting the tearful reconciliation she'd probably imagined. I love you, she said quietly. You love controlling me. There's a difference. That's not true. Isn't it? You kicked me out to prove a point. Now you're ambushing me at work to force another conversation. Everything you do is about controlling the situation. I'm desperate. You're manipulative. You always have been. I just finally stopped participating. She looked around the parking lot again, clearly uncomfortable with the audience she'd created. Can we please just try counseling or something? You can try whatever you want. I'm done trying. You're not even willing to work on this. I worked on it for months. I bent over backward trying to make you happy. Nothing was ever enough. Maybe I was asking for too much. Maybe you were asking for the wrong things. She started to respond, then stopped. For the first time in this conversation, she looked genuinely confused. I don't know how to fix this, she said finally. You can't fix it. You can only live with the consequences of your choices. I walked toward my car, leaving her standing there in the parking lot. As I drove away, I could see her in my rearview mirror, still standing by her car, probably wondering how her dramatic gesture had gone so wrong. That night, my phone stayed silent, no calls, no texts, no messages from her flying monkeys. Maybe she was finally starting to understand that some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt with good intentions and grocery store cookies. A month into my stay at my brother's place, the silence finally broke not with another manipulation attempt or a parade of intermediaries, but with a simple text message at 7 o'clock in the morning. I need to see you, please. It's important. I stared at the message over my coffee. After her parking lot ambush 2 weeks ago, she'd gone quiet, no calls, no surprise visits, No friends calling on her behalf. Just silence. Important, I muttered, showing the message to my brother. Could be a trick, he said. Could be, but she's never been this direct before. I texted back, my brother's house, 6 p.m., come alone. She arrived exactly on time, which was unusual for her. She was always fashionably late to everything, as if punctuality was beneath her. But she was there at 6 sharp, knocking softly instead of ringing the doorbell. When I opened the door, I barely recognized her. She looked exhausted. Her hair wasn't done, her clothes looked slept in, and there were dark circles under her eyes. "Thank you for seeing me," she said quietly. I led her to the living room. My brother had tactfully disappeared, leaving us alone. "You look terrible," I said, settling into a chair across from her. "I feel terrible." She sat on the edge of the couch, hands folded in her lap. "I've been thinking about what you said in the parking lot." "Which part?" "All of it, but especially the part about me being manipulative." I waited. This felt different from her other attempts. "I talked to my sister about it, really talked, not just complained." She looked up at me. She said some things I didn't want to hear, that I've been pulling the same stunts since high school, creating drama to get attention, making people prove they care about me by jumping through hoops. "And what did you tell her?" I told her she was wrong, that I wasn't like that. She paused. Then I thought about every relationship I've ever had, every friendship that ended, every time someone got tired of my behavior and walked away, and I realized she was right. I am manipulative. I do try to control people. Her voice cracked slightly. "I controlled you for 5 years and you let me because you loved me." This was new territory. In all our years together, I'd never heard her admit to being wrong about anything significant. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I finally understand why you left and why you won't come back. You didn't leave because you stopped loving me. You left because you finally stopped enabling me." I leaned back in my chair. That's a hell of a realization. It took me a month to get there, a month of everyone telling me you were being stubborn, that you'd come around if I just tried harder. She wiped her eyes. "But you weren't being stubborn. You were being healthy. What do you want from me?" "I want to know if there's any chance you'd be willing to try again, but not like before." "I want to try being married to you, instead of trying to manage you." That's a nice sentiment, but sentiments don't change behavior. I know. That's why I started seeing a therapist 3 weeks ago, twice a week. I told her everything about the bags, about the ultimatums, about how I treated you. She looked directly at me. She says I have control issues stemming from childhood trauma. Apparently I've been using emotional manipulation to feel safe in relationships. And you believe her? I didn't want to. But then she had me write down every major fight we've ever had. And I realized I always escalated things when I felt like I was losing control. The bags were just the biggest escalation. I studied her face. She looked sincere, but I'd seen her sincere before. "Therapy is a good start," I said. "But I'm not coming back to be your practice dummy while you work on your issues." "I'm not asking you to." "What are you asking?" "I'm asking if you'd be willing to consider couples counseling, not to fix what's broken, but to see if we can build something new. You want to start over? I want to try being the wife you deserved instead of the one you got." I sat quietly for a moment, watching her. She wasn't crying or begging or making promises she couldn't keep. She was just sitting there, waiting for my answer. "I have conditions," I said finally. "Tell me." "First, you continue your individual therapy. Whatever issues you're working on, you work on them whether we're together or not." "Agreed." "Second, if I agree to try counseling and you revert to your old patterns, I'm gone. No second chances. No working it out. No fighting for the marriage. Gone." "I understand." "Third, you move out of our house for now. You find your own place, and we date each other like adults, no living together until we both decide we want to try being married again." She blinked. "You want me to move out?" "I want us to start fresh, no shared bills, no shared space, no shared anything except the effort to see if we can build something healthy. That's a lot. It's what I need to feel safe trying again. If that's too much, then we're done here." She sat quietly for a long moment. "I'll need time to find a place. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. And if counseling works, if we both decide we want to try again, then we try again. But as equals this time, not as a controller and a victim." She nodded slowly. "I hurt you badly, didn't I?" "You did. But more than that, you made me forget who I was. It took leaving to remember that I don't have to accept being treated badly just because someone says they love me. I do love you, I know. But love without respect is just possession, and I won't be possessed again. She stood up, gathering her purse. I'll call you when I find a place. Take your time, get settled, work on yourself. When you're ready, we'll see if there's anything left to build on. She paused at the door. Thank you for giving me a chance. I'm giving us a chance. Don't waste it. After she left, I sat in the quiet living room, wondering if I'd just made the smartest decision of my life or the biggest mistake. But for the first time in months, I felt like I was making a choice from a position of strength rather than weakness. And that, I realized, was exactly where I needed to be. 2 months after she'd packed my bags, I was back in our house. But everything had changed. She'd found a small apartment across town and had been living there for 6 weeks. We'd been doing couples counseling for a month and individual sessions on our own. The difference was remarkable. The woman who sat across from me in our living room wasn't the same person who'd issued ultimatums and packed my bags. She looked healthier, more at peace with herself. The desperate edge that had defined her for years was gone. I've been thinking about what Dr. Martinez said last week, she said, referring to our counselor, about how I used to treat our relationship like a performance I was directing, and I realized that's exactly what I was doing. I had this script in my head about how a husband should act, and when you didn't follow it, I'd get angry instead of talking to you about what I actually needed. I set down my coffee cup. What do you actually need? I need to feel secure, not controlled or in charge, just secure. I need to know that when you say you love me, you mean it, and I need to trust that you'll tell me if something's wrong instead of just going along with whatever I want. That's different from what you used to ask for. What I used to ask for was proof, constant proof that you loved me. Flowers, surprises, grand gestures. I thought if you weren't performing love, you weren't feeling it. And now I understand that love isn't a performance. It's a choice you make every day, and I made it really hard for you to choose me. I leaned back in my chair. You made it impossible for me to be myself around you. I know. I'm sorry for that, really sorry. I'm not looking for apologies. I'm looking for understanding. I understand that I almost destroyed something good because I was too insecure to trust it. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. This was new, too. Before, silence meant tension, someone was angry or disappointed. Now it just meant we were thinking. Dr. Martinez wants to know if we're ready to talk about me moving back in, she said finally. Are you ready? I think so, but I want to make sure you are. I don't want you to feel pressured. I don't feel pressured. I feel cautious. That's fair. I broke your trust. It's going to take time to rebuild it. It's not just about trust, it's about respect. I need to know that you see me as your partner, not your project. I do see you as my partner, someone I want to build a life with, not someone I want to fix or change. And when you get frustrated with me when I do something that annoys you, I talk to you about it like an adult. No ultimatums, no threats, no packing bags. And if I don't respond the way you want, we work through it together or we agree to disagree. But I don't get to unilaterally decide our relationship is over just because I'm not getting my way. I studied her face. You seem different, calmer. I am different. Therapy helped me understand that my need to control everything came from fear that if I wasn't managing every aspect of our relationship, you'd leave. So you tried to control me to keep me from leaving and ended up driving me away anyway. The irony isn't lost on me. What's changed? I've learned that I can't control whether you stay or go. I can only control whether I'm the kind of person worth staying for. And are you? I'm working on it every day in therapy, in my own life, in how I treat you. I stood up and walked to the window. The house felt different now, lighter somehow. I missed this place. I missed you being in it. I missed you too, the real you, not the version who was always trying to manage me. She's gone. Or at least she's getting smaller every day. I turned back to her. What do you want from me? I want you to come home, but only if you want to. Not because you feel obligated or because you're tired of living at your brother's place. I want to come home, but I need to know that it's really home, not just a place where I'm allowed to live if I follow your rules. It's your home, our home. I don't make rules for you anymore, and when you're having a bad day, when your old patterns try to come back, then I call my therapist, or I talk to you, or I take a walk, but I don't take it out on you. You make it sound easy. It's not easy. It's work, but it's work I'm willing to do because I love you and I want us to work. I love you too, but I love the person you're becoming, not the person you were. I know, and I'm grateful you're willing to give me the chance to become her. I sat back down across from her. If I move back in, we're starting fresh new rules, new expectations, a new way of being together. I'd like that. And if you ever pack my bags again, I'm gone for good. No counseling, no second chances, no working it out. I understand. And if you try to use other people to manipulate or pressure me about anything, I'm gone. I understand that too. And we keep doing counseling until we both feel like we've built something solid. Agreed. I reached for her hand. Then let's try this again, but let's try it right this time. She squeezed my hand. I'd like that very much. Good, because I'm tired of living out of suitcases. She laughed, and for the first time in months it sounded genuine. I'm tired of living without you. Then let's not do that anymore. I moved back in the following weekend. She helped me unpack, and when she pulled my clothes from the suitcases, she folded them carefully and put them away. No hurry, no rush, no desperate need to erase what had happened. I'm proud of you, she said as we finished putting everything away. For what? For leaving when you needed to. For not letting me treat you badly just because I was scared. I'm proud of you too for doing the work to change. We both did the work. No, I just stopped enabling you. You did the real work. That night, as we lay in bed together for the first time in 2 months, she rolled over and looked at me. I love you, she said. I love you too. But more than that, I respect you. I should have said that first. You're saying it now. That's what matters. And for the first time in years, I believed we were going to be okay. Not because she'd promised to change, but because she already had, and because I'd learned that loving someone doesn't mean accepting poor treatment from them. Some lessons can only be learned the hard way, but they're worth learning, especially when they lead you home.